Hi, my name is Rebecca Schwab, or Becky, and I'm applying for the music therapy internship at Kennedy Krieger Institute, specifically the LEAP program. I chose music therapy because I knew that I wanted to help people through music, and usually that's just a stereotypical answer. However, that was what I started with, and before I even learned about music therapy, I would have gone into music education, so it was always going to be something dealing with music. Um, I know about the impact that one session or one interaction with one client can make with a person. Working with clients of all different ages in different settings, whether it be a school setting, a private client, at a therapeutic day program with adults in a low-income housing community, there's always a huge difference that can be made. I've seen a fifth grader go from just vocalizing to ending up verbalizing by the end of our 3 to 4 month period with him, and being able to even listen to live music. He originally would try to leave the room, and so seeing how much of a power that music could provide for that, and slowly working with those individualized goals and objectives. And that's also another thing, is that no matter what you do in this field, it's never going to be a cookie cutter situation. Each person you build up through your own assessment, and you're going to have to figure out, how exactly do I want to work with this client that is going to be the best way for them. It's not going to be the same for each person that you encounter, excuse me. And I've also seen an adult who said that she could never play an instrument and that she never really listened to music unless she was in the car, go by the end of our sessions by directing a handbell choir and even writing a song with us while playing piano. So she was able to have her own difference in her own life, and she ended up giving us the biggest hugs at the end of our sessions, and seeing that difference and how much we could help her see her self-expression and to build on those goals. Some goals are going to be similar for clients, but it's the objectives, and it's the way that you interact with those clients with your different experiences, whether it be songwriting, lyric analysis, improvisation, allowing them to explore musically. And music therapy is a field that we all know needs more advocacy within it. And if you can help one client, then they can pass it on to another, and that continues to advocate for itself. And from the countless research articles that I've read and had to report on for all of my classes, I've seen how much of a difference that each step in research that we make, and sometimes research proves something wrong or it doesn't provide enough background, but that allows us to ask another question or get one question answered that can lead to another. And you never know how much of a difference that could make. And so that's another reason that I was really interested in music therapy as my career, is I wanted to continue to learn more. What can the mode of Lydian do for a child? How does that different from your 1-4-5 chords? Always researching, always learning more about just more than just the theoretical side of it, more than just here are the words and we're going to sing them. You also learn of what not to say and what to say when you're in a session. And from conferences, from my classes, from even my personal experience within my sessions, you learn exactly how to approach certain situations. And when you're in a certain situation, you don't say mom or dad. Sometimes you say whoever you are at home with. And everything that you do is a learning experience, whether you're a professional or you're getting to be into your internship. All of the collaborative work that can be done in music therapy, whether it's with another music therapist or if it's with a physical therapist, if you can provide music during a surgery and help them be less anxious, all of that work that can be done, and that even advocates, once again, for our field even more, in knowing that what we are doing is making an impact. And whether it's for one 30-minute session in a hospital or if it's a weekly hour-long session that you see for 4 to 6 months, there's always going to be some form of significant impact that you make that you may not even realize. And the smallest difference could be from, like I said, from vocalizing to verbalizing in that time. You never know what you are going to be able to do for one person or a group of people in the field of music therapy. I'm interested in specifically Kennedy Krieger Institute because of all of the work that can be done with a lot of these students and what I've heard and seen at the outpatient center with Nikki Spurgeon. I was able to observe her starting in the summer of 2017. And I've seen her work with numerous different groups, individual clients, and seeing just some of the values that are held within the whole Institute of Kennedy Krieger that really encourages me to be able to see what can be done with a lot of these students. Now, I recognize that my internship is going to be mostly in the school setting, which is also still just as important. I've known that I've wanted to work with kids since as long as I can remember, especially since I started looking into music therapy in my junior year of high school. And I realized that a lot of these students, when they're in the traditional school setting, they can be removed from their best style of learning. And when they're taken out of that classroom setting, their learning can stop. However, Kennedy Krieger, I know that a lot of the times we work to make sure that they can integrate their way of life and to think of new pathways and avenues to be able to get something done, whether it is communicating with their peers, teachers, working on personal hygiene, social skills, emotionally expressing themselves. There are so many different ways that can be done. And to continue to incorporate that work, whether it's in a group or an individual session, sometimes it's more beneficial one-on-one, sometimes it's better to work with others so they can get input from one another. A lot of the collaborative work that can be done for those admitted to Kennedy Krieger with cognitive, physical, or behavioral disabilities, to integrate their learning and to integrate their way of life so they can move from Kennedy Krieger and potentially return back to the traditional school setting if that's what's right for them. And it's always up to both sides of the party, whether it's the music therapist providing those services, whether it's a speech language pathologist, or if it's a physical therapist, anything along those lines, also providing that collaborative work like I just mentioned. There's always ways to think of a new way to learn. There's always ways to reach out to a student, connect to pathways of jump roping but still learning the ABCs. That's something new, something that may be beneficial in a way that can't be done in a traditional school setting. Kennedy Krieger is also very close to home, which is just an extra plus for it. But this location in this institute is something that holds a lot of the values that I hold when working with any form of clients, whether it's children or an adult. You always want to figure out the best way to be able to work with those people and to be able to figure out how can they be the most successful, how can we achieve these goals and objectives that we've set and that other people have set for them so they can continue to live their lives in the best way possible. Some of my personal strengths are that I am a leader, so I am able to know when to take charge in a situation, whether it's a session or communicating with others, or allowing others to take charge in that session or in a meeting. I also am a very fast learner, so I can pick up on any form of skill or a task very quickly. I am professional when it comes to communicating with professionals, peers, professors, or even just working with a client. I know how to do that in a professional manner. I am very quick on my feet, so if there were ever to be an intervention that isn't going as planned or a day that a patient, student, or client is having more difficulty and things aren't going as planned, then I know how to adjust and figure out the best way to work with that person. I am willing to put in the extra work that needs to be done. If a task isn't being done to the best of my ability, I'm willing to take that extra time to get it completely done in the best way. I can take constructive criticism very well, so if there's anything, like I mentioned, that isn't being produced as my best work and there's something that I can improve or fix, then I'm willing to make sure that I can take care of that. In that same area, I know when I need to ask for help, so if there's any situation where I'm not doing the best I can, then I realize that I can't always fix things on my own and I will need help from a peer or a supervisor or another specialist. Musically, I am a percussionist, so that definitely does help with any form of drumming intervention or anything along the lines of mallets, whether it's with an orff bar or even piano. A lot of the skills that I've used to learn a lot of my marimba pieces can translate well to those other instruments, whether it's just another learning technique or anything like that. while everybody does have their own weaknesses, some of mine include clinical writing and language. Sometimes I include a little bit more than I need, so allowing myself to figure out exactly how to get it done correctly. Some of my guitar improvisation and transposition skills I have been continuing to work on, but it is still challenging for me to be able to get it done in a faster pace. So that is something that I would need a little bit more guidance on, even though I am continuing and have been working on since I've started my clinical work. Memorization in my music is something that I have a little bit of difficulty with, but I know how to maximize my practice time to be able to meet the needs of my clients. Like I mentioned before, I am willing to put in that extra time and memorize the music if that's what's best to be able to serve my client. And sometimes coming up with very new ideas. I like to adjust some of my interventions that I have, but sometimes completely starting from scratch can be a little bit of a difficult thing for me to do. So working on that. And that's again where it comes to I know when I need to ask for help and knowing when I can take that constructive criticism. Seems like everybody's got a price. I wonder the sleep at night. When the sale comes first and the truth comes second, just stop for a minute and smile. Why is everyone so serious? Acting so damn mysterious. Got shades on your eyes and your heels so high that you can't even have a good time. Everybody look to the left. Everybody look to the right. Can you feel that you're paying with love tonight? It's not about the money, money, money. We don't need your money, money, money. We just want to make the world dance. Forget about the price tag. It ain't about the ka-ching, ka-ching. Ain't about the bubbling, bubbling. Wanna make the world dance. Forget about the price tag. We need to take it back in time when music made us all unite. And it wasn't the blues and video hoes, I'm the only one getting tired. Why is everyone so obsessed? Money can't buy us happiness. If we all slow down and enjoy right now, guarantee you'll keys and guitars. And guess what? In 30 seconds, I'm leaving on Mars. And we're leaving across these undefeatable odds. And it's like this, man, you can put a price on that. So we do this for love, and we fight and sacrifice every night. So we ain't gonna stumble and fall, never. Waiting to see a sign of defeat, never. So we gon' keep everyone moving their feet. So bring back the beat, everybody sing. It's not about the money, money, money. Ooh, we don't need your money, money, money. Just wanna make the world dance. Forget about the price tag. It ain't about the ka-ching, ka-ching. Ain't about the bubbling, bubbling. Wanna make the world dance. Ain't about the ka-ching, ka-ching. Ain't about the bubbling, bubbling. Wanna make the world dance. Forget about the price tag. She's just a girl and she's on fire, hotter than a fantasy, lonely as a highway. She's living in a world and it's on fire, filled with catastrophe, but she knows she can fly away. Oh, she's got both feet on the ground and she's burning it down. Oh, she's got her head in the clouds and she's not backing down. This girl is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire. Looks like a girl, but she's a flame. So bright she can burn your eyes. Better look the other way. You can try, but you'll never forget her name. She is on top of the world, hottest of the hottest girls. Say, oh, she's got her head in the clouds and she's not backing down. Oh, she's got both feet on the ground and she's not coming down. This girl is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire. Everybody stands as she goes by, 'cause they can see the flame that's in her eyes. While she's flashing white and half the night, nobody knows that she is a lonely girl, and it's a lonely world. She can let it burn, baby, burn, baby. This girl is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire. She's just a girl and she's on fire. Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't seeing you.